Welcome, everybody, to the Locks DFS podcast. I'm your host, Christian Hardy. I'm with Adi Narang, at Really Adi on Twitter. We're going to run down two MLB slates. I'm not really sure I'm going to title this on YouTube and on Podbean, etc. yet, just because it's two slates. We got a 4-game early that starts real early, actually earlier than most earlies, at 12:10 p.m. PM Eastern, and then a 5-game that starts at 7:10 p.m. Eastern. So two real nice slates that you can get real into detail, and when you get in these small slates, they're easy to break down, but at the same time, it's you can kind of really get into each team that you're looking at. But anyway, Adi, how was your night? How was your day? We had two slates today as well, so how'd they go?
It was good, man. It was good. I squeaked out a profit on that early slate with a AJ Pollock home run that I totally luck boxed. So that was cool. And then the main slate was awesome. Hamels, Odorizzi were great. Yandy and G-Man Choi. You were at the game, right?
Yeah. I was sitting on the same side that Yandy homered on, so that was sick. Yeah.
Oh, you were right there?
Yeah. I was on the third base line, a few sections over. I was going nuts. It's funny, when you were at the Rays games, people – I mean, of course people were cheering for home runs, but people just don't really cheer. I made a tweet earlier, there's only 10,000 people there, less than 10,000 people. There's not very many people there. People didn't even understand that the starting pitcher came in after the first inning. When Yanni came in, no one even cheered. I'm just this is the starting pitcher, guys. This is sick. Yanni Chirinos, and he's good. This is Yanni Chirinos. He could be a starter.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one cares. No one knows what's going on. It's kind of sad, but
that's crazy considering you guys invented the opener. That you feel
Kevin. Yeah. I mean, I will say the cool thing is that there are Kevin Cash jerseys. People have Kevin Cash jerseys. I think that's tight, just because just like Joe Madden was he's the key to this team. Clearly in the analytics and all of that. But Cash is behind that, and that's sick. But
yeah, that is dope. That home run was a missile though. How fast did that one get out of there? It was a line drive that went straight out the park.
Yeah, and that Choi one was just just a classic. And then Choi just.
Hey, first of the year, man.
Yeah, true. That is true. Not very classic so far this year.
I mean, he's been hitting a ton of line drives, so it's just about time he got under one. I mean, he's got the power. We've been on that, so.
I was just excited as someone with a race stack on that slate, to see how long they kept David Heston, because every single out was a hard hit ball.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
that really was
not
crazy.
Not getting anyone out.
It almost felt like the sound was picking up the ball too much, because every ball sounded so well. But it was just well-hit balls at the end of the day. That was crazy. Even the outs, man, that was crazy.
For sure, yeah. All right.
How about you? You been good?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did not do well on the early slate, but I don't even remember exactly what happened. Honestly, sometimes when I have a bad slate, just erase memory.
Facts, man. It was the Giolito one where he got hurt.
Yeah. I didn't have Giolito though. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I don't remember.
I don't even remember where I went wrong, but. Regardless,
Wheeler. But I don't think you went wrong there.
Yeah, he was also he was decently owned too. So
there was reverse.
Oh, it was all the Brewers I had. I had so many Brewers and they did nothing.
Right. I mean, if you're gonna die on the team with the highest team total by far, I mean they had a 5.4 team total and rising. So it's if you're gonna die on that hill, that's what kept me just barely making it into cash, because I had all of them as well.
And all those Cardinals guys were just as chalky as the Brewers guys, and then that was in the slate pretty much. Yeah. But then the next slate obviously went well. I think we both had G-Man and Yandy.
Yeah.
Had Mike Trout didn't really do that great, but both pitchers, Frankie Montas. I split my entries not on purpose. Between Hamels, of course, and then Montas and not Gausman. Why am I?
Montas and Odorizzi.
Yeah, Odorizzi, yeah. Which I swapped on because the weather cleared out and all that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, all right. It's been good though. It's been good. So I mean, if you're not getting our plays, obviously our Slack has been awesome. People talking about winning. Someone said they haven't lost since they joined. I don't know how long it's been. Mm-hmm. But I think he's been in Slack for almost all the season.
5 days. He said he's been here for 5 days, all 5 days, which obviously isn't going to be sustainable for the entirety. Right. But the big overlying factor is I genuinely feel that those who are in our Slack chat, especially because we can actually talk to them and interact with them, and everyone should be in our Slack chat.
Right.
But it just feels like everyone's getting sharper by the day. You know what I mean? The questions are getting sharper. It's just like the analysis and there, people talking about things are getting sharper, and that's what we want to see. And so, hopefully, that's for anyone watching who hasn't joined. Hopefully, that's what we do with you.
I mean, obviously, I feel like a lot of people want to learn how we research too, and just so that we're not always just feeding them information. And like, that's been something we've helped out with people with too, is just telling them like, hey, this is where you find this on FanGraphs. You can find this on Brooks Baseball. You can find this on Baseball Savant. Like, telling people the resources that we use and how we use them. I think that's been valuable for some people, and some people just want to use the lock sheet and we lock our players in. We give you the cash plays. We give you the rankings. But a lot of people have extra time on their hands. They want to look into it themselves. And I mean, which makes sense. Like, of course, like if you're
going to wager money on it, you want to know something,
Yeah, of course. So for sure. But so I mean, if you're not a member, it's $39.95 a month. It's in our store, locksdfs.com. Check it out. If you like our content that we're going to talk about here, definitely hit us with a like if you're on whatever you're on YouTube, and then if you're on something else listening to it as a podcast, please subscribe. Appreciate it. And follow us on Twitter at ByHardy, at ReallyAdi, at LocksDFS. All right, we got a 4-game early slate. Let's just get through it real quick. And I mean, you mentioned it when we kind of pulled it up, how obvious kind of the two pitch. I mean, if we go on DraftKings, how obvious the two pitching options are. If you're on FanDuel, pretty much just as easy because you're picking one guy. He's also very obvious on this slate. So go ahead and you want to go ahead and tell them who those two are.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that. I mean, Patrick Corbin, Michael Pineda seem to be the very obvious cash game plays on this slate. I guess we can talk about Patrick Corbin a bit first. Dominant. I mean, 2019 numbers: 3.5 xFIP to righties, 2.97 xFIP to lefties. Over 11K per nine to each of those handedness, generating ground balls to right-handed batters at 52%. His hard hit rate could come a little bit farther down, but it's not too much of a concern if they're all going into the ground. Great things about this matchup. I mean, the Giants have been one of the worst teams to start this year as far as weighted runs created plus go, as far as strikeouts go, and as far as walks go. They're not taking too many walks. Their lineup is littered with lefties up and down it, which plays into his strengths. And in one of my earlier videos, I mentioned that last year the Giants were by far the worst team in the league versus the slider. Their weighted slider per 100 pitches was, I believe, like -3. And the next worst was like -1.8 or something. So it was like they were they were -3. So it was just I mean, this, and Patrick Corbin throws his slider like 40% of the time, almost 50% of the time in some games. So absolute dominant spot for him. And the fact that he's not like, if he was 12K, then there would be maybe a decision to be made there, but he's 10.3K. So there's no decision to be made there. You're plugging both those guys in probably.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to add on the Giants, I mean, they were the worst in the league against lefties last year. Struck out at a 23% rate. In weighted runs created plus, they were the worst. Took worst play to discipline against lefties last year than 23% K rate. So, I mean, yeah, everything. Even if they take out some of these lefties, I mean, you're still most likely going to get Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford, regardless. And then if they take out some of their other lefties, you're going to get not very good righties. So there's really no concern here with Corbin. And one more thing too is that, especially if this game is close, the Nationals have like a terrible bullpen. They're not going to want to get to their bullpen. So as long as they can keep Corbin in, they're going to run his pitch count up as much as they can, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, they almost
don't want to get to this bullpen. Which is the case with a lot of teams right now. A lot of teams have – I mean, there's a lot of – this is a crazy hitters league right now for sure, and especially this year. I mean, it's been crazy, and I think we'll learn more about that as we kind of get a bigger sample. But, I mean, relief pitchers across the league are getting just smashed this year. But with that said, like, yeah, that Corbin is going to be the top option. And on FanDuel too, he's 10-8 or 10-9.
Yeah, he's 10-8.
So yeah, like just plug him in both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
See what bats you can kind of fit in around him. And the other guy, you mentioned him already, but Michael Pineda. He's 8-2 on FanDuel. Very, very reasonable. I think his last start he was 7-8. Going up against the Toronto team that has been one of the worst hitting teams in the league this year. Striking out at, I don't know if it's still over 30%, but just a few days ago it was.
Yeah, over the last 7 days it's at 28%.
So yeah.
It's bad.
Do you want to talk about Pineda at all and his stuff?
Yeah, I mean, just been pitching real well since the season started. I mean, he's off his pitch count, which is the biggest thing to know. He threw 40 pitches, then 80, and then as recently as his last start, he was up to 96. So no limitations there. He's got an 8.64 K per nine to righties, 9.45 to lefties, a sub 4 xFIP. It's 3.45 to lefties and 3.6 to righties. Just pitching really, really well, and got a great matchup. As you said, 28% K rate for the Blue Jays. Guys up and down that order striking out. You don't really have to worry about the top half because they take their strikeouts too. So it's I mean, it really is, and it's in sort of in the same realm where the Twins have a real bad bullpen too. So they might want to.
Very. I think it's been the worst over the last 2 weeks by a pretty big margin, actually.
Yeah, so Pineda's cruising. I'm sure they have no qualms in extending him a little bit deeper.
For sure.
But yeah, it's fairly straightforward, man. Like this pitching slate is straightforward.
Yeah, I mean and then Mike Soroka is 9-1, so you're not even considering him. It's not a terrible spot really, but 9-1 is just like I mean, when you can pay $900 for Pineda, it's just not really a question. And then you've got Daniel Norris, but I mean, you're not getting a whole lot of upside there. Again, 500 away from Pineda, just probably find a way to get to him. And then
I just realized you have Daniel Norris, because I did see Daniel Norris on the lineup screen, but I see Tyson Ross on DraftKings. So
how much is he on? How much is he?
He's 7, but either way,
yeah.
The White Sox have been striking out at the highest clip over the past 7 days. So it's like 31%. So there's merit there, but it's just you for 1.2K more, you should get Pineda and that safety. I do think a good GPP play is Drew Pomeranz, though. This is a good Nationals team, but some of their best hitters are lefties like Adam Eaton and Juan Soto. And Drew Pomeranz, I mean, his fastball is up 3 miles per hour on the year. He's looking like kind of the Drew Pomeranz old. He's got a 12.27 K per nine to lefties and a 9.58 K per nine to righties. Sub 4 xFIP, it's 3.27 to lefties, 3.62 to righties. Getting a 55% ground ball rate versus righties, that helps a ton versus a lot of those bats like Zimmerman and Rendon. I mean, the Nats have a lot of guys that can hit lefties well. And considering how straightforward these pitching options are, I don't think having some shares of Drew Pomeranz and GPPs is a bad move by any means.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how they've done this year against lefties because they lose so much, especially with Dozier struggling so far earlier in the year. I mean, they have Rendon, but other than that, you're not – and Soto, he can hit lefties decently, obviously not with the same kind of power as he does versus righties. But other than that, you're really not scared of anyone through this lineup until they bat Robles up or something like that against lefties. You're just not really scared of anyone. So
right. The Nationals are all right, 25.6% K rate to lefties, not taking too many walks, 7.8%. Pretty good WRC plus at 106. So a good hit. I mean, they've been hitting real well to start the year. So that's why that is why he's a GPP play. But when you're looking for cheap pitches like this, it's nice when they have solid strikeout stuff, and that he does have. So.
And I mean, we always end up talking about pitching too long, so this will be the last thing I say. But if you see, I mean, to me, when I looked at it, when I saw Pomeranz pitching, 4.8 run total seemed a little high. So if we see a little bit of movement against that run total, definitely would be more likely to think about him as a GPP play. But either way, of course, it's a 4-game slate, and he's probably the third option. So
for sure,
probably going to
we should move on.
If you make it more than one lineup, you're probably going to get some of it anyway. But
yeah.
Okay, let's go to hitters now on the slate. And I will list off. We don't have the Braves run total against Luke Weaver. I don't know, and we also don't have the Tigers against Nova. That said, I could see the A's coming, or the A's. I'm looking at the logo. The Braves coming in above 5 runs, but right now we have the Twins at 5 runs, the Nationals at 4.8 runs again, and then the Braves, and then we have the Tigers against Ivan Nova in a bottom half White Sox bullpen. So the number one team to target here is going to be the Twins against Clay Buchholz probably. And again, a not very good bullpen. Max Kepler at 4.3. Jorge Polanco against his better side at 4.7. Expensive Jorge Polanco at 4.7. Eddie Rosario is at 4.8 as well. So Marwin's down there still super cheap at 3.6. If he bats 6th again, he would be in play at third base. Any notes? I guess what teams are you prioritizing before knowing the Braves and the Tigers totals? I guess.
I mean, I think you nailed it with the Twins. They've been raking. I think they're like the 4th best team WRC plus wise in the league so far. Clay Buchholz's a decent pitcher. I mean, 2018 numbers. He had a 3.91 xFIP to righties and a 4.11 to lefties. Had a home run per nine, less than a home run per nine to both handedness, but his home run to fly ball rate to righties was only 7.5%, despite giving up 45% hard contact to righties with a 36% fly ball rate. So you would anticipate that increasing a bit. He does look a little bit reverse splitty over his past couple years. So CJ Cron, Nelson Cruz, guys like that, power guys, love them a lot. But yeah, Jorge Polanco just probably been one of the best hitters in baseball since the season started. I mean, he's batted nearly 500 over a big sample size. He almost hit for the cycle twice. He raked today. He's seeing the ball real well. So I'll have a lot of Twins. And then the Braves, yeah, I anticipate their team total coming in around, like what you said, around 5, maybe even a bit tad higher, considering the Diamondbacks bullpen not being great. Luke Weaver's got a 5.76 xFIP to lefties with a 2.25 home run per 9. He's got a hard contact rate above 50% to both handedness, 58.8 to lefties, 51.6 to righties. He does have a nice little fastball changeup mix, which does play pretty well versus right-handed bats, which is why he's always had decent numbers versus righties throughout his career. So I would prioritize the lefties, but I mean, I'm not shying away from Ronald Acuna and guys like that. Like, I'm all over, or even Josh Donaldson. I mean, he's been hitting the ball hard, hitting into some bad luck. So those are really the teams I'm going to look at right now. I'm interested in seeing these run totals for Chicago and Detroit. Detroit's always a good team for value because they're always so underpriced. And Chicago's fairly cheap too, with Jose Abreu at 4K versus Tyson Ross. So
I think everyone's going to try to get probably Freeman at first base, but I think that Abreu price is good. And
even that yonder price is good versus Tyson Ross at 3.9. I mean, he's still.
I think you mentioned Cron too just on a 4-game slate where the team total is 5. It's like could get some ownership on that. But I think you're definitely going to end up on the slate probably playing those 2 pitchers. Then I don't know what that leaves you with. Let me just plug them in real quick. Corbin, Pineda.
Usually with enough, nearly 4K.
3.9. So I'm just thinking like if you're trying to get Braves and Twins in, you're gonna need to put some of these Tigers guys in, almost like certainly, because you got Josh Harrison lead off at 3.2, Cabrera batting third 3.5, even Castellanos at 4. I mean, like all these guys really will make some sense. Candelario he's batting 6, but he's 3.3 at third base. He has not had a good season, but going to be in play against Nova, which I actually don't know much about Nova this year. I mean, I know, of course, the kind of pitcher that Nova is, but and you know, in the past we target him kind of more of a fly ball pitcher. And temps are starting to move up in the Midwest. You know, like Detroit's now at 67 degrees, winds blowing from west to east at 17 miles, or sorry, from east to west, or right to left. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't use directions. So not much in terms of wind, but it's nice to see the temperatures in these day games kind of starting to get up there. But, you know, or in a good park for hitters.
Absolutely.
Park for hitters. So.
Absolutely. I think that's it though, man. For this early slate, I think it's that straightforward.
Yeah,
I'm gonna X out of all my early slate tabs so we can focus on that, man.
I kind of just leave my running Fangraphs tabs where I just search whoever I'm on at the current time, but
I keep them like in order. Like if you ever watch my videos, like I just X out of them as I talk about players, just so like I just keep them in order. Like I'm gonna talk about him.
I've seen it on your videos. I don't know if you've ever been in this situation. Have you been in a situation where someone sees all the tabs that are open on your computer, like in a moment of like either
like in real life?
In real life, like either you didn't close them after research, or like you're researching and they see your laptop. Or have you ever been in that situation?
Yeah, in class and stuff. Like when I was in college making teams and stuff. Like people would see how many tabs.
Like, what the heck are you doing? Like, why do you have all those tabs open? Are you psycho? Like,
yeah.
It's the only way you can do it, though, else you're gonna just be wasting time.
Yeah, and you got 2 windows too, because it's usually 2 sports. Maybe
always 2 windows. Yeah.
You got like 20 basketball windows open. You got 20 hockey windows open, like 8 hockey windows open, and like 20 baseball ones open.
Yeah, I mean, we're making the lock sheet too. It's like I got the lock sheet on one, and then I've got like I've got have stats on one place. Like I've got Slack open. Like there's all sorts. Like it's just crazy. Anyway,
let's do it.
Like nice little break between the slates. Okay, so let's go ahead and just start with pitching here. Let me just clear this out real quick so I can just go by price. This is not the right slate. You want to list them off? Are you there?
Yeah, give me a second.
I know. I thought I had it pulled up, but it's actually today's slate.
Yeah, I mean, pitching is cheap tomorrow. Chris Paddock's the highest priced guy at 9.1K, and then you got Julio Urias going back to back versus Milwaukee. He pitched against him last time, didn't do too hot. He's 8K. This game's now in Miller Park, not a friendly Dodger Stadium. And then it's Felix, Tanner Roark, Zach Davies, Zach Eflin, and Kyle Freeland, both in cores. Stratton, Cashner, and Hunter Wood, projected opener. Ryan Yarbrough, projected reliever. I think pitching is just as straightforward on this slate. I mean, maybe not just as straightforward because SP2 is kind of gross.
Yeah, not quite, but just it's SP1 is definitely gonna be Chris Paddock.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Paddock, 11K per 9 to righties, 9.4.
For me, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for like this slate where I can play Chris. Even though
you want to talk about it?
Well, not really. I'm just saying like. I mean,
no, I know you both
talk about him. I'm just saying that all year I've been thinking like, wow, Chris Paddock 9K, that's expensive. But now on this slate, it's like Chris Paddock 9K, like plug him and play him. Like there's no one else to play here at 9K. So you're just like, all right, I'll pay for 9K Chris Paddock now. Right. But yeah, like you mentioned, like. I mean, he's got 3 pitches. He's got the fastball and the changeup work real well together. This is a prospect who, like, I mean, the projection systems across the board, like, love. He didn't walk guys. He has a nice strikeout rate through the minor leagues. I mean, he came straight up from Double A after this year. He's projecting as like in terms of WAR, the 22nd pitcher coming into the season. I mean. So, there's a lot of hype behind this guy, and now he gets a Cincinnati team that has been not great, and obviously he plays already in San Diego, which is a great park. I wish I had the team numbers pulled up in front of me, which I don't on Cincinnati, but I can tell you for sure that they've got to be top 10 in strikeouts and bottom 10 in WRC plus.
I got you, bro. 29.1% K rate over the last 7 days. That's good for 4th in the league. 7.6% walk rate. Chris Paddock has struggled. He's not a guy that struggles with walks.
Right. He has not done well so far.
But he has struggled a little bit with walks to start the year. Anticipate that regressing back, though, because, like, what would you say? He's a sub-1 walk per 9 guy in the minors, right? So, yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, and I mean, we just saw what Walker Buehler did to the Reds. He decimated them earlier today. Mm-hmm. And I anticipate Chris Paddock kind of following suit.
Just a bunch of guys who don't really take good ABs on that team. I mean,
right. I mean, exactly. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, they got a lot of right-handed bats in that lineup with Puig, Kemp. The only 2 real lefties are like, they haven't been hitting Schebler for some reason versus righties. So it's been Votto and Winker. That's really it. And so the rest of that is all righties. And Chris Paddock got a 3.03 xFIP with 11K per 9 to righties. So could be a bloodbath over there. So I think he's going to be the SP1. As far as SP2 goes, though,
I was going to say real quick, just one more, just one last thing. I mean, the Reds are have a 3.3 run total, 3.3 run total, which is unless the Orioles somehow come under 3.3, I'm going to guess they're going to be like 3.8 or 3.9 against maybe 3.7, somewhere in there. So, I mean, you're facing the worst run total here, too. I just thought I'd mention that just because it's something that we forget about because it's always on my mind, but I don't always say it. But they do have the worst run total on the slate.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, SP2. Yeah, I mean, there's a few options. You got – go ahead.
I think most people are just going to flip to the other side of this game, man. I think that's – just looking at it, like – I'm not going to pitch Urias. I love Urias' talent, but I'm not going to pitch him on what is a fairly strict pitch count in a really tough matchup, in a really tough ballpark. Felix, I mean, he's just been awful this year, and Mike Trout's going to get him for at least 1 home run. So I'm going to go Tanner Roark, man. I mean, San Diego coming in with a mediocre 4.2 team total.
It's the 3rd worst on the slate. Should be.
Yeah, it should be. And Tanner Roark's a guy that's always been pretty strong on righties. This year follows suit, 3.15 xFIP to righties with a K rate almost per 10 batters per 9 innings, and generating a fair amount of I should say, not hard contact. It's sub 35% versus righties. And that lineup, as we know with San Diego, it's typically 8 righties and Eric Hosmer. Sometimes they'll throw Francisco Mejia in there and give him 2 lefties, but it's never more than 2 lefties. So I see it being fairly easily Roark Paddock, but it's always hard to say that the night before, but feels like that to me.
And you said you looked into Chris Stratton. Did you see anything with him? I mean, obviously it's the Mariners offense. If I was gonna play Chris Stratton, it would solely be to get more of, which we haven't even mentioned yet. Coors is on the slate, and everyone's priced up. I mean, at a 5.8 price, but again, it's against the Mariners, the team that, there's no reason to target the Mariners.
Right. They have cooled down. They have cooled down significantly.
Sure. Definitely.
And they are striking out a bit more. I mean, let me actually get those exact numbers because they were up there. I'm seeing them at 18th right now, but excuse me. This is versus lefties. All right. Let me filter this to the last 7 days because I know like Malik Smith has been like an automatic K recently. Yeah, they're fourth highest K rate over the last 7 days at 28.8%. So, but Stratton, like he had that one real nice 10 strikeout game with San Francisco like 2 years ago, maybe last year. But he's got mediocre K stuff. He's a guy that walks more guys than he strikes out most of the time. Mediocre heart, like doesn't generate soft contact, doesn't really do anything particularly well. So he could luck box himself into a good game. If you want to take a sort of a stab at him and just load up on some of these bats because they're real expensive, maybe, but I still probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, probably just save the 1,400. I mean, the Stratton's got absolutely no stuff. I mean, I don't think he's ever come. I was looking just a second ago. I don't think he's ever come in his career like over a. Yeah, he's always been under a 9% swinging strike rate. Like you said, he walks quite a few guys. He doesn't K/9's low. And also just this year, over a 6 xFIP this year. So just saw that. So
it's gonna sound stupid, but I would almost rather play Hunter Wood at 4K and just go 1,800 cheaper and hope
get all the bats.
Hope he gets an inning and a third and strikes out 3 of the 4 guys. If he gets you 7.25 at 4K, like I'm not saying I'm doing this, but I'm saying like to get all the bats, I'd rather get an extra 1,800 and get a guy who's gonna put up a similar score most likely.
Yeah, and against those two offenses, Urias and Davies are both off the table. Both the pitchers in Coors. I mean, you could play Freeland, but it gets the highest run total. There's no reason to play Freeland there. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty much straight up Paddock and Rourke. It's just about as straightforward as Adi said at the beginning, as it was on the slate before. Offenses, we can go ahead and shift over, I think. Which we're definitely moving through this podcast at a faster pace than we did the first time.
That's good, yo.
Hopefully it still is informative and helpful for you guys. It's also just these slates are so straightforward that it helps out a lot. But we don't have the Rays total, but they are against Andrew Cashner. I'm assuming they'll be among the highest. But I didn't mention that we have the Coors Field on the slate. So Philly's coming in at a 5.7 run total against Kyle Freeland. Rockies coming in at a 5.5 run total against Zach Eflin. Angels, they have a 5 run total against Felix Hernandez. And then you've got the Dodgers and Brewers, which Dodgers get an awesome park for all their lefties in Miller Park against Zach Davies, which is going to be one of the better matchups they're going to get in this Brewers starters. And again, I mentioned the Rays. I'm not sure where they're going to come in at. I would guess 5 runs. I'm going to guess 5 runs exactly against Cashner in the Orioles bullpen. So you've got a lot of offense on the slate. Obviously, Coors is the top of it. But you want to talk about Coors first? Who you looking at with Eflin and Freeland going?
Yeah, you got a lot of offense on the slate. But I think that's why DK priced down pitching so much. That's why Chris Paddock's on 9K because they did notice that it's going to be a big. You're going to want a lot of these bats. But yeah, I mean, talking about Philly, Colorado, these bats are expensive. I think everyone's going to have Kingery. Everyone's going to have Tapia as just 2 guys that give you cheap exposure to that game. Kingery's just been raking to start the year. I think he's batting over like 550 and a decent amount of at-bats. Hits lefties better than righties. Tapia.
Did Segura get hurt, or did they just decide to just start? Okay, he got hurt.
When they got up 10-0, they pulled him because of like a precaution, and they just kept him out because I guess Kingery's raking right now, so they're going to let him heal up.
Oh, okay. I watched the broadcast today, and they didn't say – they were just talking about Kingery as replacing him as shortstop, but I didn't know like –
wow. Yeah, he's hurt.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, both those guys, Kingery, Tapia, projected to hit in the 2-hole. Both of them are or both of them are 4K and 4.2K, I should say. So, good spot.
Kingery, you can play at second base or at third base, so that helps as well.
Right. And then when you compare them to the rest of these guys' prices, like everyone else is like 5.3 3K and above. So you're gonna need to find some salary for bats. Obviously, I really, really love both sides of this game. We've talked about why Coors Field is such a great hitter's park. I mean, I don't think I need to even go into detail about that again.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to try and do everything I can to get exposure to them. But you're going to have to find some cheaper bats to do that. And I think that's where we kind of go to Tampa Bay again, because guys like G-Man Choi, still 3.7K. He hit his first home run of the year. Many more coming. He's been hitting a ton of line drives, but he's finally getting them up in the air now. So, and line drives are great too. Line drives are the highest probability of getting a hit. So those are great. And he's 3.7. Yandy's priced up a little bit from where he was at 3.8 or 3.9. He's up to 4.1, but it's still fairly cheap. So you're going to have to go with some of these guys in order to afford a lot of this cores. But I think that's sort of what the build is going to end up being, it's going to end up being like one-offs from other games like Pollock and guys like that, and then try and load up on cores.
I wonder if Odubel left that game today. I wonder if they priced up. Like I would assume. I don't know who they brought in. They brought in Althur for him, right?
Yeah, Aaron Altair. Yeah,
he's 3.8. So if he's there, you've also got. I'm guessing Nick Williams could be possibly. Nick Williams is 4K. So if Odubel's out, that's gonna end up being another really chalky play, even if they're batting 6th, 7th in the order, something like that. Yep. Which they probably will be. Nick Williams is always a guy that has some pop to his bat, and he could be a very, very interesting Coors play for me if he's.
I don't think he'll be in the lineup because he's a lefty, but
true.
Altair most definitely will be in there and makes for a great play.
I mean, it just one day removed from injury. I would not be surprised at all. And also they got to travel, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if Odubel gets a day off.
Yeah.
So that could be.
I mean, just to talk about Andrew Cashner real quick, I feel like I have to mention his stats real quick. He's got a 6.08 xFIP to lefties and 6.38 to righties. With hard contact rates, respectively, of 44% to lefties and 50% to righties. So this is looking like another monster Ray spot. That bullpen is taxed because David Hess only gave him like 2 innings. So they should just go off again. And that exposure to that is definitely interesting to me.
Yeah. I like they brought Lowe down to a more reasonable. I said this before the podcast, but they brought Lowe down to a more reasonable 4.4. I mean. And Choi again didn't get moved up. Like Adi said, great play. I like all those guys. Meadows is still at that price, so probably not going to be one of my favorite outfielders on the slate, especially with the Dodgers on the slate. I think I might prefer them a little more against Davies. I don't know. Because, I mean, yeah, those lefties are going to be there's a perfect spot in Miller Park. But definitely really like Choi. I like Yandy, but not as much at that price, but I still do like Yandy. And then Lowe, yeah. One thing we forgot to mention is not hitters, but I keep forgetting about FanDuel, and FanDuel is during the pitchers we forgot that they added that Yankees game, and Domingo Germán is definitely in play over on FanDuel. That said, I still prefer Paddock slightly, but
for cheaper,
especially in Yankees Stadium. And again, yeah, for cheaper. But I just wanted to mention that he is on the slate and that he probably is the second pitching option if you are to fade Paddock. Just
right, for sure.
Do you want to move on to Miller?
I mean, few more spots, I guess, to really talk about.
Yeah.
Zach Davies, his fastballs. I accidentally just X'd out of my Zach Davies tab that I had open, thinking it was like Zach Eflin or someone, but. He got like a +5 xFIP to lefties and has been getting hit pretty hard, and that goes along with his 2018 numbers as well. This is the best or one of the best parks for power for left-handed bats, which really fits the mold of a lot of these Dodgers. They are priced up a little bit, so if you have to decide between these guys and Coors, I'm going to lean Coors because the Milwaukee does have a real good bullpen that they could throw out there, mitigate a lot of these lefties with Hader. But definitely think you can get some exposure to these guys. And then the Angels are I mean, they have a 5-run total versus Felix. Felix has a 2.45 home run per 9 to righties with a 5.39 xFIP. And just looking through these Angels prices, man, Calhoun's 3.6, Trout 5.7, obviously. But then Bohr, Simmons, and Pujols are 3.8, 3.6, and 3.6. So, like, we said if you plug in Paddock and you plug in Roark, you have about 4,200 per bat. You plug in a few of these guys, including G-Man Choi, a couple Angels, get that up to like 4,600. Then you get in Kingery and Tapia, get it up to like 4,800, and then you can start fitting in some of those big cores bats, and that's probably how this slate will go.
I want to say one more thing about the Dodgers, just that they're a really good curveball hitting team, and not that Davies throws a curveball. We don't have metrics on what he does throw a really bad sinker, and we don't have metrics on like teams versus sinkers directly. But I mean, a curveball has a sinking action similar to a sinker, obviously. So, I mean, like they were like notably a very, very good curveball hitting team last year. So, that's another note on the Dodgers. I mean. I wish we would have gone positionally, but I'm thinking that, I mean, shortstop is probably going to be saving money with Simmons or playing Corey Seager. And then you've got and then maybe you might be able to get like a Bellinger or Jock in outfield. But I definitely would like to get some Dodgers. But again, yeah, like you said, I think they are the fourth team to target on the slate. Probably.
Yeah. After the Coors and the Rays, yeah.
I think they probably are fourth, just mostly with the prices too. Yeah. But I just thought we should note that they definitely do hit those sinking pitches pretty well. And then you mentioned the Angels. Felix Hernandez just really has no stuff anymore. I mean, he hasn't for like at least a year and a half, maybe more. Dude's pretty much just a gas can at this point, and the Angels have been facing gas cans in Arlington and have not hit them very well. So I was still surprised to see this 5-run total, even against Felix. Like, they are that bad. I mean, this offense is without Justin Upton and without Shohei. They are not good. I mean, they have proven that they are very bad, and their prices are representative of that. But that said, their prices are still very cheap, and their run total is still 5. So. Definitely can target them against Felix Hernandez, who, like I said, just has other than Trout. I mean, outside of the matchup with Trout, like that is what am I saying? Like
Mike Trout's BVP, is that what we're gonna get?
Yeah,
into?
the Trout outside of the Trout BVP, I'm not directly scared of any hitters against Felix. Like, but it's also like these guys are so cheap that I'm fine with targeting them to save some money. I prefer it to be like a guy like Simmons or Board, just so it doesn't take an outfield spot. But
let's do it though, man. Let's do some home run calls.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Definitely no one to target in that last game. So cool. Yeah. Real quick, who's pitching for the Royals? Just to see if we need to mention Yankees.
Homer Bailey.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't be too interested in Yankees then. It is a smaller park, but. I'm guessing with just because their prices are probably going to be high, that I'm not. I don't know why it's not popping. Every time I switch to FanDuel, it's switching to the slates.
I mean, they're fairly inflated prices. You can go for a few of them like Glaber, Judge 4-6, but aside from that,
not too interesting. Yeah,
the other spots are just so obvious that you'd rather go there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. We do under and over 4K, right? DraftKings pricing.
Yep. Do you want to go over? You want to go the high price guy first or the low price guy?
High price.
All right. You want to go first?
No, I want you to go first.
All right, Mike Trout. He's 31. He's 31 for 83 off of Felix Hernandez. That's a 373 average with 4 doubles, 2 triples, 8 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 8 walks. So he'll be my home run call of the day, even though the only time BVP ever applies is Paul Goldschmidt versus Tim Lincecum and Mike Trout versus Felix Hernandez. And I'm going to go ahead and ride this Mike Trout one. You can go ahead and take who you want.
Yeah, I would say it's a decent pick. Maybe.
Yeah, that's not bad. It just gives me some good odds there.
87 average. I love this. I love looking at BVP on the Baseball Savant. I don't like regularly look at BVP, but when I do, the Baseball Savant's really nice. Like, they have expected batting average, like exit velocity, average launch angle, which, by the way, is 15 degrees for Trout average launch angle, which is like really good. If you know anything about launch angle, but yeah. So I was. It's weird that I think that both of our home run calls might not be in Coors.
Go ahead.
Because I was gonna take Cody Bellinger.
That's great
against Zach Davies, and I don't think it's someone that I'm gonna have in cash. Bellinger, I highly doubt it. But still still would be my pick. I don't really love any of these Rockies as my home run calls. Like I'm really only gonna pick like Story or Arenado on the Rockies versus a lefty. And then Reese maybe, like those would be the top two. But yeah, no, Cody Bellinger is my high price. And then you can go ahead again. I think I already know my low price.
You can go first then, because I did the high price first. You can take it.
Yeah, low price. I'm gonna say G-Man. I'm just gonna
I knew it. I love it. I love it.
I mean, like he's just so cheap, Like
Yeah.
I was really surprised that he was like even in higher dollar double ups today, he was only like 20%, 22%. Like I was surprised at 3.6, but against just a terrible pitcher and has like so bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious who you pick now. Who do you got?
I mean it's 4K or lower. So
right. Yeah.
It's gonna be Scott Kingery.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Scott Kingery. So I got Kingery and Trout. You got G-Man Choi and Bellinger. So yeah.
I think someone else that wasn't, it would just be Bohr probably.
Yeah, right. It'd be Bohr, Calhoun, or someone like that. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I feel like by saying those extra names, we just hedge ourselves. It's really
no hedges here.
My calls are Cody Bellinger and G-Man Choi.
Yep. And then mine are Kingery and Mike Trout. That's it.
All right. All right. Do we want to do anything else?
No, let's wrap it up. I think I'm going to Dave and Buster's, man, out of nowhere. So I guess my friends are outside waiting on me. So
just remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment and you'll be entered to win a free pass. Adi obviously does his daily videos and we'll kind of comb through the comments. He was commenting, see who's leaving either either good feedback or who they like that day. It doesn't really have to be anything specific. As long as it's not like negative comments, but anything else, if you guys are contributing to the conversation kind of below, we appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, whether you're on iTunes, YouTube, whatever. And then lastly, I'll say it one more time. I've already said it like 2 times, but on Twitter, I'm at @byhardy. Adi is @reallyaddy. And Locks is @LocksDFS. If you want to get our content, we have daily and we'll have them for the early slate rankings, as well as like analysis on each and every player that we put on the sheet, basically why they're there, why we like them. Which we pretty much work on from the minute lineups come out to the day that the second that it's locked in. And then our 3 players that we lock in on both FanDuel and DraftKings for you everywhere. So, all right, with all that said, I'll let Adi get out of here. Make sure to buy a pass, locksdfs.com. It's going to help you in DFS. I can tell you that for sure. It's going to help you learn. It's going to help you win.
Yep.
And that's what we want to do. So, all right, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.